Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel as Mike's Talks and Thoughts here. Back again with another video for you guys today. And today we're going to be ranking all of the Better Call Saul Season 6 episodes. Wow, what a great season, just now concluding, and going to be going through giving my thoughts on each and every episode from the season. It's been a wild journey we've gone through since April of this year, going through watching part 1 and now part 2. Giving my thoughts, like I said, and leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. I want to see what your favorite episode or moment was from season 6. And if you're new to my channel and you love TV and TV related topics, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and share as well. So as I prefaced it in the intro, none of the episodes here are bad for this season. I think that every single one is at least like a B tier or higher. So starting off here at number 13, we have Black and Blue here. This is going to be the weakest episode of the season, but still a very good one. And this was an episode highlighted by Lalo here. Lalo in Germany, of course, searching for any clues or answers to go after Gus here. Of course, going after Werner's wife here for information on the super lab. That is what mainly takes precedence over this episode. We also see the famous Hamlin versus Miguel boxing match, which was great. So again, this first episode, even though it's in last place, it's still a solid one, but a lot of filler moments and not a lot of stuff that pushes the story too far forward. Like I said, a lot of filler at points in this episode, but we get the introduction of the PI, Hamlin versus Miguel, and of course Lalo searching for clues in Germany, the real standouts from this episode. Next up here, we have at number 12, Axe and Grind, the following episode number 6 here. And this episode follows, again, Lalo's journey to find more dirt on Gus here. Of course, looking to use the axe that he gets going after Casper. That was an insane scene, probably the most insane scene from this episode. This was also an episode directed by Giancarlo Esposito, so really great cinematography in this episode. And this episode also was sort of the final pieces being put together for what happens in the season 6 part 1 finale here. So a lot of building again and getting the pieces together and ready for the final episode of part 1. Next here at number 11, we have episode number 4 from the season, Hit and Run. Hit and Run was a solid episode, definitely. I think it's still on the same tier as these bottom 2 episodes, but like I said, still a phenomenal episode. This episode, of course, highlighted by, of course, Howard, the con of Howard in the Hit and Run incident. They have Wendy come back here in a cameo, which was absolutely great to see. And we see Kim and Cliff going out and setting up this scheme, and Jimmy, dressing as Howard was absolutely great. Just a big standout from this episode, and easily the best moment, of course, from this episode, and one of the standouts, I would say, from the season. Such a fun episode to watch here. Next here, we're moving into number 10, and we have episode number 10 in Nippy here. This was the first, of course, all Gene episode here, which is a very different turn here for the season. But we figured after all the events that happened through the first 9 episodes that we'd finally be getting a Gene episode here. And this one I really liked at first. I think as I've seen some of the later episodes, it's probably the weakest of the Gene episodes, or majority Gene episodes, but this is still a great episode. We see, of course, him in interactions with Jeff, and we see Marion. Carol Burnett finally makes her appearance in this episode here, and this was just great. Slippin' Jimmy, going back in his Slippin' Jimmy ways. I absolutely loved it. Jim O'Hara stand out in this episode as well. Really great, loving the conning and the scheming and the planning. Classic Jimmy McGill, Saul Goodman, or Gene Takovich, whatever persona he has, going back into his ways. It was really great to see, really refreshing, and comes in here at number 10. I would say one step up from the last 3 episodes, or one tier up, I should say, in my ranking. Coming in here at number 9, we have Fun and Games. This is episode number 9, of course, from the season, and this might be a little bit low compared to what most people would have it, but this episode, it has a whole bunch of hard-hitting points here. We see, of course, the breakup between Kim and Jimmy, which we've been wondering about ever since the start of the show, or ever since they really became a huge couple, what would be happening with them. And this episode was really sorrowful and sad. We see all the events transpiring after what happened with Howard in the previous episodes, and just very dull and gloomy episode as well. Definitely one that's hard to rewatch, but the writing in this is really great. Like I said, a little bit lower for me personally, but it's still a really great episode. Definitely still a top tier one from Better Call Saul in the universe. Coming in here next at number 8, we have episode number 2, Carrot and Stick. Great season premiere here with, of course, the first 2 episodes and Carrot and Stick. Definitely one I feel like I was a little bit more harsher on when I reviewed it. Only giving it an 8 out of 10. I would definitely bump that up as I've seen the episode again and rewatched some clips from it. Definitely learned to appreciate this episode a lot more after seeing the full conclusion of the season here. This was a great episode. I love the Carrot and Stick scene with Kim and Jimmy here. And then, of course, the whole Nacho storyline still at the forefront here of the season as the season began, with so many questions where season 5 left off, and Carrot and Stick was really great. But moving here to number 7 now, we have episode number 1, Wine and Roses. I might be in the minority here saying that I liked Wine and Roses more than Carrot and Stick, but I think these episodes are pretty much neck and neck. You could pretty much interchangeably change the order for these two, but personally for me, I like Wine and Roses. Such a great introduction to the season here, seeing all the stuff with Nacho and of course the beginning parts of the plan with planning drugs on Howard here. Great start, like I said, to the season. Coming in here next at number 6, we have Breaking Bad. Of course, the self-titled Breaking Bad, where we see Walt and Jesse finally making their first cameo appearance here in Better Call Saul. And there was a lot of people who I know were a little bit negative on this episode, but I personally loved it. It was a really great episode. Like I said, the Walt and Jesse scenes were great, and I loved seeing how Saul ends up, having that conversation with Mike, and we see the downfall of how he finally is going to meet Walter White, and it's just really great. Like I said, a lot of fanfare with that episode, but it also pushes the plot forward. We get to see a lot more insight into the kidnapping of Saul and how dark Saul was to go down that path, even though Mike warned him so many times to stay away from Walter. And we see, of course, throughout all of Breaking Bad, the events that transpire that caused the downfall of Saul Goodman. Next here, we're moving into another tier here. Definitely a step up from the last few episodes that I have talked about. And that's going to be Waterworks, the penultimate episode number 12 here. This was a great episode, seeing Kim back after not seeing her for a few episodes between the whole Fun and Games and now Waterworks. It was great seeing what happened to Kim in the Gene timeline. We get to see a lot more of Gene, and, like I said, just a lot of emotion in this episode. And, of course, the whole revelation at the end with Marion finding out about Saul and him finally having to go on the run. Really, really great. And like I said, an amazing penultimate episode where we get to see a character who we see her journey post the Breaking Bad timeline, which we've been always waiting to see, and seeing how her life is now. And Kim here, of course, we see how her life is so uneventful and how things have changed so much since her and Jimmy's breakup. And sticking with really great episodes here, we are getting to some of the best on the same tier as Waterworks here. I think number 4 is going to be the 3rd episode, Rock and Hard Place. Of course, this is the conclusion of Nacho's story here, and it is absolutely phenomenal here. Nacho going out on his own terms was so amazing. I think they just such a great job. I think that scene, the scene with Nacho, of course, has got to be a top 5 scene in the entire Better Call Saul universe. That is one that I've probably rewatched the most from season 6, other than maybe something that's going to be up a little bit higher on the list. But that scene is endlessly rewatchable, of course, and it's just so great. Like I said, they did such a great job of wrapping up Nacho's story. We finally get conclusion, and it was such a great payoff. But for these final three here, these are in a league of their own. Easily could be interchangeable, I think, at the top. It was so tough, so tough ranking these next three. And I think that these three are all in contention for being in my top 10 TV episodes of all time. That's how good these last three are. And yeah, let's just get into them. So first here, number 3 is going to be Sogon, the series finale here. Now I feel like this right here is the best written episode in the entire series. This episode, the writing is so good and the emotions is there. And it really feels like, again, that series finale. And we see Jimmy owning up to all of his cons and everything that he did and all the damage that he caused, owning up to it, not scheming and getting his way out of it like he could have. You know, he was facing life in plus 190 years and he gets it down to 7 years, but he confesses to everything that he did and he owns up for it, and we've been waiting for that all throughout the series, man. And it really shows the transformation of course, Jimmy McGill to Saul Goodman to Gene Takovic and back again to Jimmy McGill. And I love the final scene, him and Kim sharing a moment. They don't even need to speak to each other. You can just see by the symbolism of just their body language. It's great. And the finger guns are really great. And Saul in prison, of course, when they do the Better Call Saul chant while they're heading off in the prison bus. One of the best scenes in the show. Just so memorable. Absolutely fantastic finale, and like I said, probably the best written episode in the entire show. Peter Gould did a masterful job here with this final episode. Next here, moving into number 2, we have Point and Shoot, the conclusion of Lalo's story. Now this episode here was one that was easily the one that kept me on edge and kept my heart beating and racing all episode long, finding out what was going to happen with Lalo, as of course so many events had transpired up into that point, and him going to the laundry, and we knew what Gus's fate was going to be, but just seeing the menacing, terrifying Lalo and what damage he could cause, and it was just so amazing. Kept you guessing, kept you on your toes all episode here. And like I said, even though you knew who was going to make it out of there, it was just amazing. Lalo going out, of course, in a blaze of glory. Absolutely phenomenal, fits his character perfectly, and honestly could be in contention for number 1. Like I said, these top 3 are so dang close and can pretty much be rearranged in any order. But for me, number 1 and my favorite episode of Better Call Saul season 6 and my favorite episode of Better Call Saul and the entire show is going to be Plan Execution, the season 6 part 1 finale here. This is just the culmination of everything that they've been building to all season, from the end of season 5 into season 6. We finally get the conclusion of what happens to Howard and how they destroy Howard's legacy here and getting the Sandpiper money. And we see the whole situation with Lalo and Gus, of course, coming to a head, and Lalo coming back and looking for ways to finally strike Gus here. And we see these two worlds that we've been waiting and seeing bits and pieces from finally collide into one. Howard goes to, of course, Jimmy and Kim's apartment, lays down this entire monologue, which was absolutely phenomenal. And I mentioned how earlier Nacho's death scene was probably one of my favorite moments to rewatch. Even though it was really sad, it's a top tier moment to rewatch. Probably the one that I've rewatched the most from this season is, of course, the final scene from Plan and Execution with Howard and, of course, now Lalo coming in. Howard was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, giving his monologue to Jimmy and Kim about everything that they've done, who they are, and it's so spot on and accurate. And Patrick Fabian does such a great job acting here. And Lalo coming in with the candle flicker was absolutely amazing. And just seeing these two worlds collide, the cartel side and the lawyer side of the story, in one big bang, as Lalo takes out Howard here like he's just no one, and sets up really great for the next episode, Point and Shoot, like I said, with the culmination of Lalo's story. I just think it just encapsulates everything that is Better Call Saul, colliding these two worlds together and really giving a crazy way to sort of bookend the Better Call Saul timeline here. So yeah, that's going to do it here for ranking of the Better Call Saul Season 6 episodes. Let me know down below your favorite moment from Better Call Saul or your list of the Better Call Saul Season 6 episodes. These episodes, like I said, all of them were absolutely fantastic, fan favorites, especially the top 3, some of the best TV episodes of all time, and even the top 5, some of the best TV, like I said, ever. And every episode was good and just such a wonderful season, one of the best TV seasons of all time. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, everyone, and peace out.